The orbital shipyards above Mars pulsed with an ethereal blue glow, hidden from prying eyes by layers of quantum camouflage. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the massive shape taking form in the construction bay below. The Aurora wasn't just a warship, it was humanity's insurance policy. Final system checks are green across the board, James Rodriguez announced from his station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. As lead systems engineer, he'd spent the last 8 years of his life breathing life into this vessel. Quantum core is stable at 99.8% efficiency. Sarah nodded, but her attention remained fixed on the ship. The Aurora's hull seemed to drink in light itself, its surface composed of metamaterials that hadn't existed 3 years ago. They'd broken dozens of supposed universal laws, creating those materials. The alien Concordat had been so certain humans couldn't grasp higher physics for at least another century. Director Chen. A young lieutenant approached, tablet in hand. The Concordat observation team is requesting their monthly inspection. They're ahead of schedule. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Let them come. Activate Protocol Mirage. Throughout the shipyard, carefully crafted holographic projections sprang to life. Where the Aurora rested in its cradle, observers would see only partially assembled components of a standard destroyer. The quantum core's signature was masked by specialized fields that made it appear as primitive fusion technology. 8 years of deception. James mused, joining her at the window. Sometimes I wonder what they'd do if they knew what we've actually built here. They'd try to stop us, Sarah replied, her voice hard with certainty. The Concordat's guidance was never about helping humanity develop. It was about control. The Concordat had arrived 20 years ago, presenting themselves as benevolent mentors to guide humanity's development among the stars. Their technological gifts had seemed miraculous at first, until Earth scientists began noticing the carefully placed limitations, the deliberate gaps in the shared knowledge. Quantum core is now at full masking, James reported. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're still struggling with basic plasma containment. He paused, checking another readout. Though I have to admit, watching their faces during these inspections never gets old. The way they patronize us. Sarah's tablet chimed with an incoming message. Her expression darkened as she read it. Intelligence just confirmed our worst fears. The Concordat's Inner Council voted yesterday. They're implementing their protection initiative for Earth within the month. James's hands clenched. They both knew what that meant. The Concordat had done the same thing to 3 other developing civilizations in the past decade. Move in warships, establish bases for security purposes, and slowly strip away autonomy until the protected species was nothing more than a client state. How long until the Aurora is ready? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. She'd reviewed the project timelines every day for the past month. The primary systems are operational. We've run every simulation we can. But we haven't had a chance to test the quantum weapons in actual combat conditions. James brought up the ship's specifications on a nearby screen. We're as ready as we'll ever be without drawing attention. Sarah touched the cool glass of the observation window, studying the warship that represented humanity's greatest achievement. And their greatest secret. The Aurora wasn't just advanced, it was revolutionary. Its quantum core allowed it to manipulate the fabric of space-time itself. Its weapons were based on principles the Concordat thought impossible for humans to grasp. Its artificial intelligence was orders of magnitude beyond what they believed humanity capable of creating. Begin final preparation sequences, she ordered. I want a full crew rotation ready within 48 hours. Quietly, we maintain minimal staff during the Concordat inspection, but I want everything in place the moment they leave. You think it's time? James asked, though his fingers were already sending out the coded signals that would recall their hand-picked crew from their cover positions throughout the solar system. The Concordat thinks they've accounted for every possibility. They believe they know exactly what humanity is capable of. Sarah's reflection in the window showed a fierce determination. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The massive ship below them hummed with barely contained power, its quantum core pulsing with energies that defied conventional physics. Soon, very soon, the Aurora would show the galaxy that humanity wouldn't be contained or controlled. They had built something that would change the balance of power forever. And the Concordat would never see it coming. In the depths of the ship, systems that had only existed in theoretical physics papers 3 years ago prepared for their first true test. The Aurora wasn't just a warship. It was humanity's declaration of independence. Soon, the galaxy would learn that underestimating humanity had been their greatest mistake. The Concordat inspection team moved through the shipyard with the practiced arrogance of supposed superiors examining a child's work. Their elongated forms glided smoothly on gravitational fields, their iridescent scales shifting colors in the artificial light. Sarah watched them through the security feeds, noting how they barely contained their condescension as they reviewed the primitive human technology on display. "Remarkable progress with your plasma containment issues," the lead inspector, Velnon, commented while examining their decoy systems. "Though still far from optimal efficiency, of course. Perhaps in another decade. We appreciate the Concordat's continued guidance," Sarah replied, the diplomatic phrases falling from her lips with practiced ease. 8 years of hiding their true advances had taught her patience. James stood beside her, outwardly calm, but she could sense his tension. Their tablets had just received another encrypted update from Earth Command. Concordat warships were already moving into position throughout the solar system, far ahead of their announced schedule. The inspection dragged on for 3 more hours. Finally, Velnon's team prepared to depart, having seen exactly what humanity wanted them to see. As their shuttle pulled away from the station, Sarah's command codes deactivated the holographic camouflage, revealing the Aurora in its true glory. "They're going to move within the week," Sarah announced to the assembled project leaders in the secure command center. The Concordat's not even bothering to maintain the pretense anymore. 12 capital ships have already entered the outer system. They're positioning for a full lockdown, Admiral Helena Santos added, her hologram flickering slightly as it transmitted from Lunar Command, just like they did with the Zentari. "Once their ships are in place, they'll demand we accept their protection or face immediate military response." James brought up the latest intelligence feeds. The Concordats already drafted their press release. They're claiming evidence of hostile alien interests in the Sol system. The same excuse they used to subjugate 3 other species. Not this time. Sarah's voice carried steel. "Aurora's crew is ready." Admiral Santos nodded. "Full combat crew embarked and running final drills. We can power up and launch within 30 minutes of your order." The room fell silent as tactical displays showed more Concordat ships entering the system. Their arrogance was almost palpable. They didn't even bother with stealth or evasive patterns. Why should they? As far as they knew, humanity possessed nothing that could threaten their technological superiority. Sarah's tablet chimed with an emergency alert. "They're moving faster than we predicted." Concordat ships just jumped into high orbit around Earth. They're not waiting for diplomatic channels. James cursed softly. They must have detected something, but the quantum masking field. "It's not us," Admiral Santos interrupted. "Our channels in the Concordat confirmed their accelerating plans across the board. They're worried about losing control of too many developing species. Earth is just the first on their new aggressive timeline." Sarah straightened, her decision made. "We're out of time for further testing. Admiral, begin Aurora's launch sequence. Full power to all systems. It's time to show the Concordat exactly what humanity has achieved." Throughout the massive ship, carefully hidden systems began to power up. The quantum core pulsed with energies that the Concordat believed impossible for humans to control. Advanced AI systems far beyond what they thought humanity capable of creating came fully online. "Concordat flagship is broadcasting," James reported. "They're demanding immediate surrender of all Earth military assets, threatening orbital bombardment if we resist." "Let them threaten," Sarah replied, striding toward the Aurora's main airlock. Humanity's done playing the obedient student. The ship's internal gravity fields activated as the crew moved to battle stations. In the engine room, the quantum core reached full power, its impossible energies contained by fields that defied conventional physics. Weapons that existed only in theoretical papers 3 years ago charged to full capacity. Concordat ships are powering up weapons, Admiral Santos reported. They're making the show of force, trying to intimidate Earth's governments into immediate surrender. Perfect timing, Sarah said, settling into her command chair on the Aurora's bridge. Around her, the crew worked with practiced efficiency, their years of secret training about to be put to the test. Let them think they have the upper hand. The greatest advantage of being underestimated is the look on their faces when they realize their mistake. The Aurora's engines ignited, their power carefully masked by fields that made them appear as simple fusion drives to outside observers. The massive ship rose from its cradle, preparing to show the galaxy that humanity had far surpassed the limitations their supposed mentors had tried to impose. All systems operational, James reported from his station. Quantum core stable at full power, weapons and defensive systems ready. Sarah allowed herself a small, fierce smile. Send word to Earth Command. Tell them to keep the Concordat occupied with diplomatic delays for 10 more minutes. Just enough time for us to get into position. The Aurora moved with impossible grace for its size, slipping through space in ways that violated everything the Concordat thought they knew about human capabilities. In moments, they would reveal themselves. In moments, the galaxy would learn that humanity had broken free of their chains. And the Concordat would learn the price of their arrogance. The Concordat flagship hung in Earth orbit like a gleaming dagger, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight across its intimidating length. On its bridge, Supreme Commander Vexlar watched the primitive human vessels with dismissive confidence. Their quaint fusion drives and basic shield technology posed no threat to Concordat's superiority. Final ultimatum transmitted, his executive officer reported. The humans have 10 minutes to begin surrendering their military assets. Such a waste of time, Vexlar mused. They must realize resistance is futile. Their technology is centuries behind. Energy spike. The sensor officer's scales flashed warning colors. Massive quantum disturbance detected near Mars orbit. Vexlar's primary hearts skipped a beat as the impossible readings flooded his screens. Where empty space had been moments before, a vessel now existed. A human vessel. But its size, its configuration, the power readings, they violated everything the Concordat knew about human technological capabilities. On the Aurora's bridge, Sarah gave the order. Deactivate all stealth systems. Let them see exactly what they're facing. The quantum core's containment fields dropped, releasing its full signature. The metamaterial hull shifted, no longer hiding its true nature. Every system that humanity had developed in secret revealed itself at once. Impossible. Vexlar's voice lost its patronizing tone. Their energy readings. They can't have quantum manipulation technology. The theoretical barriers. This is Dr. Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Aurora. Sarah's transmission cut across all Concordat frequencies. Your attempts to subjugate Earth end today. The Concordat's assessment of human capabilities was deeply flawed. James's fingers danced across his console. They're trying to scan us. Their sensors can't make sense of our quantum signature. Show them why, Sarah ordered. The Aurora's quantum fields expanded, distorting space itself around the massive ship. Concordat targeting systems went haywire, unable to lock onto a vessel that seemed to exist in multiple spatial dimensions simultaneously. Their weapons are powering up, James reported calmly. All 12 capital ships are moving to engage. Sarah nodded. Execute combat demonstration pattern Alpha. Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with. The Aurora moved with impossible speed, its quantum drives allowing it to effectively ignore traditional physics. It appeared behind the Concordat fleet, then above it, then within it, each movement faster than their sensors could track. This is your only warning, Sarah transmitted. The Concordat's assumption of human technological inferiority was a critical error. We've surpassed every limitation you try to impose. On his flagship, Vexlar watched in growing horror as the Aurora demonstrated capabilities that should have been impossible. Their sensors showed weapons powered by principles the Concordat had deemed theoretically unsound. The ship's hull was composed of materials that shouldn't exist. Impossible, he whispered again. They were contained, controlled. We monitored every development. You monitored what we wanted you to see. Sarah's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. While you watched our public programs, humanity's best minds were breaking past every barrier you claimed was unsurpassable. The Aurora's weapon systems powered up, revealing arrays that defied conventional physics. Each blast could tear through standard Concordat shields as if they didn't exist, using principles their scientists had dismissed as impossible. Your vessels are now targeted, Sarah announced. You have 5 minutes to power down weapons and begin withdrawal from Earth orbit. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate response. Vexlar's scales paled as his tactical officer displayed the targeting analysis. The Aurora's weapons weren't just advanced. They represented technology that the Concordat had thought impossible to achieve without another century of development. How? He demanded. How did you hide this? Our inspections. We're looking for what you expected to find, Sarah replied. The greatest advantage of being underestimated is that no one looks past their own assumptions. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed, its power signature dwarfing anything the Concordat had seen from a primitive species. Around it, space itself seemed to bend and twist, defying the laws of physics as the Concordat understood them. Your entire assessment of human potential was flawed, Sarah continued. We didn't just copy your technology. We understood it, improved it, and moved beyond it. The Aurora represents just the beginning of what humanity can achieve when free of your artificial limitations. James monitored the Concordat fleet's reactions. They're falling back, shifting to defensive formations. Their targeting systems still can't get a lock on us. Of course not. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They're still trying to use conventional tracking methods against a quantum-shifted hull, like trying to catch a shadow with a net. The next few moments would determine whether the Concordat would accept this dramatic shift in the balance of power, or if the Aurora would need to demonstrate its capabilities more directly. Either way, humanity's days of playing the obedient student were over. They had built something that changed everything. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Great Hall of the Concordat High Council erupted in chaos. Delegates from 100 worlds shouted over each other as the sensor logs from Earth played on the massive displays. The Aurora's impossible capabilities shattered centuries of assumptions about technological development. Order. High Chancellor Zixven's harmonics cut through the din. This crisis demands clear thinking, not panic. Sarah stood calmly at the speaker's podium, her presence a stark reminder of how thoroughly humanity had upended the galaxy's power structure. Behind her, a hologram showed the Aurora in orbit around Mars, its quantum fields rippling visibly through space. You violated every technology-sharing treaty, one of the council members accused. The development protocols were designed to keep humanity dependent, Sarah interrupted. To ensure we developed only along paths you approved, at a pace you controlled. We chose a different path. The Aurora's sensor logs played again, its quantum core performing feats that Concordat scientists had deemed impossible, its weapons utilizing principles that should have been beyond human comprehension. The implications are staggering. Professor Lixmore, the Concordat's leading physicist, spoke up. Their quantum manipulation technology. They've solved the Heisenberg-Voss paradox, something our best minds have struggled with for centuries. James, standing beside Sarah, brought up new technical readouts. Because you approached the problem with preconceptions. Human scientists, working in secret, were free to explore solutions your society had dismissed as impossible. The council chamber fell silent as the full implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just caught up technologically. They'd surpassed Concordat understanding in several crucial areas. The Aurora represents a fundamental shift in the balance of power, Sarah stated. Earth will no longer accept the Concordat's guidance or control. We've proven we can advance on our own terms. High Chancellor Zixven's scales shifted through worried colors. You must understand our position. Unrestricted technological development has shown that your entire system of controlled advancement is fundamentally flawed. Sarah interrupted. How many other species have you held back? How many civilizations have had their potential stifled by your protection? On the displays, the Aurora demonstrated its quantum phasing technology, shifting through space in ways that defied conventional physics. Each movement emphasized how thoroughly humanity had broken free of the Concordat's restrictions. The Concordat fleet is still mobilizing, James reported quietly to Sarah. 30 capital ships now in the Sol system, more arriving hourly. Sarah nodded slightly. They had expected this. The Concordat wouldn't easily abandon centuries of control. Your military buildup in our system will cease immediately, she announced to the Council, or we will be forced to demonstrate more of the Aurora's capabilities. You dare threaten the Concordat? A military commander's scales flushed with rage. One ship, no matter how advanced. Who said we only built one? Sarah's quiet words silenced the chamber. It was a bluff, but one the Concordat couldn't risk calling. If humans had built the Aurora in secret, what else might they have developed? The council erupted again, delegates arguing frantically. Some demanded immediate military action to contain the human threat. Others insisted on diplomatic solutions, fearful of facing technology they no longer understood. The Concordat faces a choice, Sarah continued. Accept that humanity has earned its independence, or she let the threat hang unspoken as the Aurora's weapons powered up on the display, their quantum signatures sending Concordat sensors into confusion. High Chancellor Zixven raised his primary appendages for silence. Perhaps some adjustment to our traditional protocols is warranted. The human achievement cannot be denied. The Aurora proves that your entire system of technological control is based on flawed assumptions, James added. How many other species might achieve similar breakthroughs if freed from your artificial limitations? The implications rippled through the chamber. If humans could achieve this level of advancement in secret, could other protected species do the same? The entire foundation of Concordat authority began to crumble. We propose a new relationship, Sarah said. Not as mentors and students, but as equals. The time of Concordat dominance through technological control is ending. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed on the display, its power signature a constant reminder of how thoroughly humanity had shattered the established order. In the Sol system, more Concordat ships arrived, but they maintained a respectful distance from Earth. The next few hours would determine whether the galaxy would see peaceful change or violent upheaval. But either way, humanity had ensured they would never again be seen as a species to be controlled and contained. They had built something that changed everything. And now they would help reshape the galaxy into something better. 6 months after the Aurora's revelation, Earth's orbital shipyards hummed with activity. No longer hidden, they now openly displayed humanity's technological achievements. Sarah watched from her new office as teams of human and alien scientists worked together, sharing knowledge that the Concordat had once deemed too dangerous for developing species. The Zentari delegation is ready for their tour, James announced, entering with a tablet displaying the day's schedule. Their scientists are particularly interested in our quantum core developments. Sarah nodded, remembering how the Zentari had been one of the first species to break free from Concordat control after Earth's example. Show them everything. The era of restricted knowledge is over. The Aurora hung in its berth, its quantum fields shimming visibly as upgrades were installed. But it was no longer alone. Other ships of similar design were under construction, each incorporating improvements suggested by the collaboration between species formerly held back by Concordat restrictions. Latest report from the Reformation Council, James said, bringing up the data. The Concordat's former High Council had been dissolved, replaced by a new governing body, where all species had equal representation. 3 more civilizations have been granted full technological autonomy. And the holdouts? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. Some former Concordat hardliners still resisted the new order, losing influence daily. It's hard to argue for technological restriction when the evidence of unrestricted development's benefits is so clear. James gestured to a holographic display showing scientific advances from multiple species. Turns out when you let civilizations develop naturally, they come up with solutions nobody thought possible. Through the window, they could see a Drachnid science vessel approaching the shipyards. 6 months ago, the Drachnid had been considered too primitive for advanced technology. Now their unique perspective on quantum mechanics was revolutionizing field theory. The Aurora changed everything, Sarah mused, watching the activity below. Not just by proving we could advance beyond Concordat restrictions, but by showing other species they could do the same. The quantum core technology that humans had developed in secret was now being enhanced by insights from a dozen different species. Each brought their own perspective, their own solutions to problems that had once been thought unsolvable. Message from Admiral Santos, James reported. The joint Human-Centauri patrol detected another hardliner Concordat fleet near the Cygnus border. They withdrew as soon as the Aurora appeared. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The ship that had broken the Concordat's power now served as a symbol of the new order, not through force, but through the promise of what unrestricted development could achieve. The medical research team has a breakthrough, James continued, bringing up more reports. Combining human quantum theory with Drachnid biotechnology, they think they found a way to cure several previously untreatable conditions. This was the true victory, not the military standoff that had freed Earth, but the achievements that came from species working together as equals. The Aurora had catalyzed change, but the real revolution was cultural, not technological. New applications for the quantum core coming in daily, James added. Transportation networks, energy production, terraforming. Turns out when you let different species approach problems freely, they find solutions nobody expected. Through the window, they could see the results of this new cooperation. Ships of various species docked at the yards, sharing technology and ideas that would have been restricted months ago. The fear and control that had dominated galactic society was being replaced by collaboration and mutual respect. The hardliners were right about one thing, Sarah said, watching a team of human and alien scientists examining the Aurora's quantum drive. Unrestricted development did change everything, just not in the way they feared. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed, its energy signature now matched by similar cores throughout known space as other species developed their own versions of the technology. Each brought unique improvements, proving that diversity in development led to stronger solutions than controlled progression ever could. We're getting requests for quantum core specifications from 3 more species, James reported, and the joint research team thinks they found a way to improve efficiency by another 30%. Sarah nodded, remembering the days when humanity had worked in secret, hiding their achievements from Concordat inspectors. Now the shipyards were filled with beings of all species, working together to push the boundaries of what was possible. The Aurora had been built to ensure humanity's independence. Instead, it had helped forge something far more valuable, a galaxy where species developed according to their own paths, sharing discoveries and building on each other's insights. They had created more than a powerful warship. They had catalyzed a new age of exploration and achievement, proving that the only true limits were those they placed on themselves. And as Sarah watched the activity in the shipyards below, she knew that this was only the beginning. The Aurora had shown them what was possible when they broke free of artificial limitations. Now, with species throughout the galaxy working together as equals, there was no telling what they might achieve. The age of restriction was over. The age of possibility had begun.